Did you present the case to the district attorney's office?
I did.
When did you do that?
I look at my notes. Here. Submission date shows November 24th of 2023.
Okay, November 24th, 2023. And you said, what was the date you said you learned of the speed?
It's November 10th.
Okay. And so without speed, you wouldn't have had enough.
On October 13th, 2023, a car crash in San Antonio, Texas, left one man dead. The lead detective went to the scene, looked at the wreckage, and recorded on his own body camera that it was just an accident, nothing criminal. The driver who caused the crash got one ticket, no arrest, no charges. Then, a month later, new data surfaced, and suddenly, what was an accident became manslaughter. What no one knew at the time, including the detective, was that when doctors tried to donate the victim's organs, they found stage 4 cancer that had spread to his brain. A man with a brain tumor had been behind the wheel. Simon Alexander Garza, 20 years old, was indicted on a charge of manslaughter, a second-degree felony in Texas, carrying 2 to 20 years in prison. The case was tried in April of 2026 in the 187th Criminal District Court of Bexar County before Judge Stephanie Boyd. Garza was represented by attorneys Marissa Giovinco and Audrey Martinez, with Hank Wilkins appearing for the state. What you are about to watch is the trial where the state's own evidence turned against it, starting with the detective who ran the investigation. For over 30 years, I sat on the bench. When your own detective calls in an accident on camera and your own medical examiner agrees, you have a problem. This prosecution had both.
All right, everyone, you may be seated.
Oh, I'm sorry. One other thing on the crash report. You don't update any toxicology results on the deceased, correct?
If I had them, yes, and I request them, yes.
Okay, but we had toxicology in the medical records for Jose Fernandez, and you didn't update that on this crash report, correct?
They were not given to me, and I did not request for them or put a subpoena in for them.
Okay. What about an open container? Is that important to a crash?
It can be for if the officer observed it, they can put it, give the person a ticket.
Okay. But no one was given a ticket for having an open container in this incident.
I do not believe so.
But you're aware there was an open container in Jose Fernandez's vehicle, correct?
Again, I can't, like I said, that's the officer who wrote that. A container can also be bursted open by a crash.
Okay, that wasn't my question. You're aware there was an open container in Jose Fernandez's vehicle, correct?
I can't exactly say if it was open or not, because like I said, the video I see a container there, and again, I don't know if it was opened or crushed open by the crash.
And you actually went to the scene
That's correct.
and you saw Jose Fernandez's vehicle.
Yes, I saw the Honda.
Okay, and you saw the open container inside the vehicle?
I observed a can in the vehicle. I did not pay attention if it was open or closed.
Don't you think that that's important to a crash investigation and whether someone is driving with an open container?
That's for the officer if they observe it. It has to be observed by the officer.
Okay, can you listen to my question? Okay, don't you think it's important to note whether there was an open container in a vehicle when there's a crash?
Again, you
Yes
have
or
to
no?
have,
Yes or no?
it can be.
Okay. When would it not be important that someone is driving with an open container when they've been involved in a motor vehicle accident?
So whenever we're at the scene, somebody says, hey, the person smells like intoxicants, strong odor, go to the hospital, they say they have a strong odor, then that's significant.
Okay, and so driving with an open container, as long as you don't smell like alcohol, you're okay? It's not important?
I think the traffic code says that if it's officer observed it, you give them a ticket.
Right. It's against the law to drive with an open container, correct?
Okay, yes.
Okay. And drinking while driving impairs someone's driving, does it not?
It can, yes.
Okay. What about smoking marijuana before driving? That will impair your driving.
It could, yes.
What about doing cocaine prior to driving? That will affect your driving.
Yes, it could.
What about the combination of all three substances? That will affect someone's driving,
It could.
but that wasn't important to your investigation.
I didn't have any of those information with me.
But you had the open container, you saw it.
I can confirm that the driver was the one who consuming of any of that alcohol.
Sure. However, have you ever seen a open container in a center console and given the driver a ticket, even though there were other people in the vehicle?
That's correct. So I observed it. I can give that person a ticket. Again, the officer will have discretion to be able to give a ticket.
But you didn't observe the driver drinking, you just saw it in the center console and assumed it was theirs, correct?
I didn't observe that. Like I said, I observed the can. I didn't observe it was open to the point where somebody was maybe opening it to drink it.
Right, I'm talking about in the past. You said you have seen a open container in someone's center console and given the driver a ticket for an open container, even though there were other people in the vehicle, correct?
I'd have to go back and check my records. I don't actually think I've ever given that kind of ticket.
Okay,
Again, yes, that is the law. That is a state law.
okay. And so wouldn't you agree with me that it's due diligence for you to check a beer can to see if it's cold to the touch, if it's in the vehicle and someone was just in an automobile accident?
Again, I observed the can in there. That's all I had to do is be able to observe the can. It's on video and pictures.
Okay, let me ask my question again. Wouldn't you agree with me that it's due diligence for you to see if a can of beer in someone's vehicle after an automobile accident is cold to the touch?
Yes.
Okay, did you do that?
No.
The defense attorney just got the detective to admit on the stand that checking whether a beer can is cold is basic due diligence, and that he never did it. There was an open container in a dead man's car, and the lead detective never bothered to find out if it was fresh. He never questioned the occupants of the vehicle about it. He never requested the toxicology confirmation that would hold up in court. And this is just the beginning. The defense is not done with this detective, not even close.
Did you also have, is it your decision on what citations are issued?
It is not.
It is not. Okay. Are you aware that Simon was only issued a ticket for no insurance?
That was on the officer report, but I don't tell them to write that ticket.
Okay. Okay. But probable cause. So if you have probable cause now for a manslaughter after Mr. Fernandez is passed, why wouldn't you have had probable cause for an aggravated assault at the scene?
The elements aren't there.
Okay, but the only difference is someone passed away, correct?
No, it's the speed of the vehicle and the disregarding the red light.
Okay. And you didn't know either of those factors at the scene of the crash?
That is correct.
Okay. And it took you a year and a half to find those, to learn that?
No, I think if I look at can I look at the date? Yeah. So the vehicle speed was observed on 11/10 of 2023, which is a month, a little under a month.
Okay. And so at that point, you went and got a warrant?
The warrant is before that to get the ACM.
No, I'm talking about for my client.
I did not get a warrant.
Okay. Did you present the case to the district attorney's office?
I did.
When did you do that?
I look at my notes. Here. Submission date shows November 24th of 2023.
Okay, November 24th, 2023. And you said, what was the date you said you learned of the speed?
It's November 10th.
Okay. And so without speed, you wouldn't have had enough. Running the red light alone would have been not enough. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct.
Okay. What's failure to maintain a proper lookout?
Proper lookout?
Mhm.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. Can you elaborate?
I mean, that's the question. What is there an offense for failing to maintain a proper lookout? Have you ever heard that before?
Like as if you're a lookout for a criminal act?
You know,
You're the lookout while somebody else is doing the criminal act?
It's a very good question. These are things the state is alleging. So have you ever heard of that? Is that an offense, a traffic offense that you've heard of? Failing to maintain a proper lookout.
You'd have to be more clear. Again, I don't really understand what you're asking.
Okay, there is
You're
not.
taking one little piece out of there, but you have to explain what
Yeah.
what you're referring to.
Sure, there is not a traffic offense called failing to maintain a proper lookout, correct?
There's not a traffic offense. It's within a traffic offense.
Okay,
That's why I'm asking you to elaborate, because
within-
it says within the traffic offense. It's not a specific traffic law violation.
okay, what traffic offense is it within?
Within, basically, for stopping at a yellow light, maintaining, observing traffic controls,
For stopping at a yellow light,
a red light.
at a red light? Okay. One second. So speeding is what changed to you to give you probable cause for manslaughter, is what you're saying.
That is the element that I needed as well. Yes, correct,
Okay.
with the red light.
Okay. And so if every person who speeds on the road committing an attempted manslaughter?
Unless they cause the death of another person while committing another violation. It has multiple violations while committing a death of another.
You requested the manner and death of from the medical examiner, correct? The cause and manner of death?
That's correct.
Did you review that?
I don't have it with me up here, but yes, I did.
Okay. You'd agree with me that the cause of death was blunt force injury related to renal carcinoma, correct?
Again, unless I see it in front of me, and
Okay. Well, you can use your report to refresh your memory.
I need the autopsy report.
No, your report. You talk about it in your report. About second paragraph from the bottom, from the conclusion.
Correct? Yes.
Okay. And officer, I'm sorry, detective. The legal limit for your blood alcohol in driving is 0.08, correct?
That's correct.
Anything above a 0.08 would be an intoxicated driver.
Yes.
And that's only alcohol. Additional substances would definitely affect the level of intoxication.
Yes, we have to have the measurement of what it is, how much they have in the.
Okay. And officer, I'm sorry, detective, you went to the A's Up Sports Bar to collect the video that is still on the screen, correct, of the crash?
That is correct.
Okay. And you remember talking to the sweet old man who owns the bar?
The owner of the bar, that's correct.
Yes. Okay. You remember telling him that this is just an accident, it's nothing criminal?
I do not recall. Again, I can talk to them. A lot of people don't like to hear bad news, so I'm just basically creating a rapport.
So if you said that you were lying to him?
I'm just talking to him.
Okay. But do you remember telling him multiple times that this isn't anything criminal, it was just a crash?
Again, just building rapport with the person who's going to share video.
Okay, just a yes or no. Do you remember telling him, I want to say 3 or 4 times, that this is just an accident, it's not criminal?
Again, I didn't watch that in the video showing back there, so I'm guessing you saw it. I don't recall.
That's the answer. You don't remember saying that. Okay, so would reviewing that in your video help refresh your memory?
Sure.
Judge, if we could take 30 seconds.
Sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you will give us 30 seconds, I'd say 5 minutes.
Maybe.
Thank you. All right, everyone, please be seated. And defense, it's still your witness.
Thank you, Judge. Okay, officer, you watched your body cam now.
I'm sorry?
You watched your portion of the body cam now.
Yes.
Okay. And you recall stating that this isn't anything criminal, it's just a crash.
Yes.
The detective just watched his own body camera footage in front of the jury. On it, he told the owner of a bar near the crash scene multiple times that this was just an accident, nothing criminal. On the stand, he first said he didn't recall. Then he called it building rapport. Then they played the footage, and he had no choice but to admit it. The prosecution is trying to prove that this crash was a crime. Their own lead detective, on his own camera, told the witness it was not. And there is still a medical examiner waiting to take the stand. And what he tells this jury is going to make things even worse for the prosecution.
Detective, in regards to that statement, do you recall when it was made?
You talking about the video,
The
the
date.
statement I made? Yes. Saw it on top of our camera. I believe it's the 24th.
Okay,
I remember it was after the crash when I was going to get the video.
okay.
Hang on. No, there's no time up there.
Was it, how about this? When was it in relation to when you got the report of the speed back?
It was prior to that.
So it was before you decided to file charges?
Correct.
Pass the witness.
In fact, you also stated that you can't take someone to jail for running a red light, right?
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that?
No.
And if speed was a factor to the crash, don't you think that that's a pertinent detail that you should update on the crash report?
No, again, I'm not going to change the officer's crash report and the speed because it wasn't relevant at the time the crash report was written.
Okay, but you testified that you're supplementing the crash report to add all of the pertinent details.
Can I look at, is there a block for the
Well,
speed?
just listen to my question. You testified that you supplement the crash report to add all of the pertinent details. Was that not the exact words that you said?
Okay, yeah, there is not a speed block to enter onto the crash report.
Officer, I'm sorry. Please just answer my question. Okay, I'm asking you. You testified that you supplement the crash report to add all of the pertinent details, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, you're trying to tell the jury that there is not a portion for how fast the car was going. I understand that. Look at page 2. There is a spot that says contributing factors to the crash. Is there not?
Correct.
Okay. You did not supplement to add speed as a contributing factor to this crash.
Correct, because I put it on my.
I did not ask you why.
All right.
Thank you. And but you did testify that you would supplement to add all the pertinent details. And you can, there's no limit on how many times TxDOT will allow you to supplement a crash report, correct?
Correct.
You also did not supplement it to add any intoxication or narcotics usage to Mr. Fernandez.
Correct.
Pass the witness.
No further questions, Judge.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
He is excused by the state.
Subject to recall, Judge.
All right, if you can just remain in the vicinity in case either party wishes to recall you. The rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone during the pendency of this case.
Yes.
All right, thank you. State, call your next witness.
State calls James Wilkerson. I'm gonna find it. That's what I'm looking for. I printed it out.
Hello, can you raise your hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand, just have a seat, and if you'll state your name for the record.
James Andrew Wilkerson IV.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Mr. Wilkerson, how are you presently employed?
I'm employed by the Bear County Medical Examiner's Office.
And what are your duties at the Bear County Medical Examiner's Office?
I perform autopsies and investigate deaths.
How long have you been in this field?
I've been doing this for 35 years.
What is your educational background that qualifies you in the field of medical pathology?
Graduated from Birmingham Southern College, then went to medical school, University of Alabama on a scholarship. Then came here and did my residency at Brooke Army Medical Center, leading to board certification in anatomic and clinical pathology. Served 3 years at Fort Polk, then went to the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology in Washington, D.C., and did a forensic pathology fellowship, which led to board certification in forensic pathology.
Okay, so is it your testimony you maintain 2 types of board certification?
Actually, three. It's all pathology, but it's 3 different times.
And what is forensic pathology?
Pathology literally means the study of disease, and it's a branch of medicine that is primarily concerned with diagnosis. And you probably will never see your pathologist. They look at surgical specimens and they look at lab values and make diagnoses. But forensic pathology is a subspecialty of pathology that's concerned with investigating the cause and manner of death and performing autopsies to determine how and why people died.
Okay, and I want to discuss a little bit what is a manner of death. Can you explain that?
A manner of death is the facts or the circumstances that are present at the time of the death, and it's an opinion by the forensic pathologist as to what the circumstances are. We have 5 manners of death that we're allowed to use. The first is natural, which is what most people die of, natural disease. Then there's suicide, where someone kills themselves. There's homicide, where another person kills someone. There's accident, where someone dies during their normal life of an unintentional or unforeseen act. And then there's undetermined, where we don't know the circumstances, or we can't come to a conclusion as to what the circumstances were when the person died.
Okay, and what is cause of death?
Cause of death is the disease or injury that led to the person's death, the specific disease or injury that led to the death.
And in your capacity at the Bear County Medical Examiner's Office, have you performed autopsies?
Yes,
On few or many occasions, would you say?
approximately 400 a year here at Bear County,
So how many would you estimate over your career?
approximately 13,000.
And what is an autopsy?
An autopsy is a study of a deceased person. We start by having full-time investigators that go to the scene of any death and try to help us figure out what occurred so that we can eventually assign a manner. Then the body is placed in a sealed bag and brought to the medical examiner's office. In the morning, we determine what exam we're going to do and how extensive the exam is. We usually open the bag and document any injuries, look at identifying features, collect any trace evidence. We'll also draw toxicology studies and do any x-rays at that point in time. Then clean the body and re-document all the injuries with both photographs and drawings. And then at the end of that period of time, at the end of the external exam, we will do an internal exam and examine all of the organs for the presence of disease or injury.
Okay. Have you previously testified as an expert in forensic pathology?
Yes.
Approximately how many times would you estimate?
I'm going to interrupt just briefly, Judge. We'll stipulate this doctor is an expert.
All right. They say they will stipulate, but state you're allowed to ask what questions you wish to ask.
Approximately how many times would you say you've testified?
Approximately 350 times.
Okay, now I want to talk to you a little bit. Are you familiar with a decedent by the name of Jose Fernandez?
Yes.
Do you recall Mr. Fernandez's age?
He was 50 years old,
What was his sex?
male.
Okay. Did you conduct an autopsy on Jose Fernandez?
No, we did not. If a patient spends a long time in a hospital and their injuries are well documented, and there's nothing to be gained from performing the autopsy, we will not perform the autopsy.
Okay. So is it your testimony that you reviewed all the documentation regarding to Mr. Fernandez then?
Yes, I did. And also his family, because of his injuries that were non-recoverable, his family had decided to release his organs for donation. And so we reviewed all of the records to allow a donation to occur, making sure that none of the organs to be donated would interfere with our investigation of the cause and manner of death. And then we reviewed the medical records to determine the cause and manner of death.
Okay. So I want to break down what you've talked about a little bit. We're going to start with, you mentioned, but right before this, sign on the cause. Who is allowed to sign a death certificate?
In the state of Texas, any doctor who has a license can sign a death certificate, but they can only sign natural death certificates unless they're a medical examiner.
I'm sorry, you testified only doctors can sign on natural cause of death. So only one of the 5 total causes, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so based on your review of the documents relating to Mr. Fernandez, can you tell the jury what injuries he sustained?
He had severe injuries to his head. That was the main injury that persisted for at least a week of time, and he was not improving. He had other injuries to his body, but the family decided at the end of that week that they wanted to do comfort care and release his organs for transplant.
Okay, now you said organs for transplant. Are there ever times when organs may not be suitable for transplant?
There are times when an organ is injured or has disease that it won't be suitable for transplant. We sometimes have problems if it's a case where the cause of death is not clear. We don't want to release organs that could help us define the cause that we don't know. In other words, if we're going to do an autopsy because we don't know why they died, we don't want to give those organs away and not be able to figure it out.
So here was Mr. Fernandez's organs. Were they able to be harvested?
They could have been harvested, and they were all ready to harvest when they discovered that he had a malignancy, a renal cell carcinoma of his kidney, and that had metastasized to his brain. And that is an exclusion for donation. They don't donate organs from people who have cancer.
Have you previously examined reports where the decedent suffered injuries inflicted by a motor vehicle accident?
Yes,
On few or many times?
many times.
Based on your review of the files here relating to Mr. Fernandez, did you find his injuries consistent with that of a motor vehicle collision?
Yes.
In what way?
In that he had the head injury, he was T-boned by another vehicle, and that energy from that vehicle was transmitted directly to his body in a perpendicular fashion. That those can really be devastating injuries because there's nothing to protect the body but the door of the vehicle. And he had injuries that were consistent with that, and they were well documented in the medical records.
Okay. And you spoke a little bit about Mr. Fernandez's renal mass. Is that a notable finding, would you say?
Yes.
And is that renal mass, or I guess, is his renal system something attributable to his death?
It was contributing to his death. In other words, because he had cancer, it helped him have death as well.
Okay. But you can't say that that was the sole cause, is that correct?
No, that was not the sole cause.
During your review of the documents, did you find any evidence of disease that would prevent him from living at the time of the accident?
No,
No. Were his injuries alone sufficient to cause death in this case?
yes,
I want to talk to you a little bit about serum ethanol. Are you familiar with that?
yes.
What is that?
Serum ethanol is a testing of a blood ethanol on the fluid portion of the blood, as opposed to the fluid and the cells. And it's a test that's usually done in the hospital to determine if the decedent had alcohol in his system for various treatments and therapies.
Does that differ from whole blood?
Whole blood alcohol is a medical legal test that is used to determine the level of alcohol that a person was under the influence of at the time of their death and present that data in a court of law.
Okay, so it's your testimony that the test to determine serum ethanol in whole blood differs.
Correct.
Are you aware whether serum ethanol was testing, or I guess serum ethanol screening was done on Mr. Fernandez?
Yes, it's usually done, the screenings test, and they usually do a urine drug screen as well on all of their trauma patients.
Now, I want to ask you, generally speaking, regarding pathology, is screening different than confirmation testing?
Yes, we do. For forensic pathology, for forensic testing and legal testing, 2 tests have to be performed to call it positive. A screening test is a test that is very, very sensitive. In other words, a pregnancy, a urine pregnancy test that you might buy is a screening test. Some of these new COVID tests that you might buy is a screening test. But they may not be specific because they're so sensitive. They may pick up other things that aren't meant to be positive on the test because they're looking to grab everything they can. And when those are done, then we turn around and we do a very specific test that is unique to that agent or that entity. And we usually use what's called a gas chromatograph and a mass spectrometer. And the substance is run through that machine and its molecular structure is determined, which means that it's only that drug. And then the size of the graph that's present associated with that drug is the concentration determination of the drug. And that's what we report to the legal system.
Okay, so to do the mass spectrometry and the gas chromatography, where do the specimens get sent to get those tests done?
We do those at our office. We have a forensic toxicology laboratory at our office. The hospitals would have to send it out to another lab, another forensic toxicology lab to have that work performed.
Based on your review of the documents in this case, did the hospital send the specimen to toxicology?
No, they did not.
So only a screening was done?
Correct.
The medical examiner just told this jury something that should concern everyone in this courtroom. Jose Fernandez's blood alcohol was never formally tested for court. The hospital ran a screening, a quick test used for treatment decisions, not evidence. For legal purposes, you need confirmation, a specific test that gives you an exact number that holds up under oath. That test was never ordered. The detective never subpoenaed it. The hospital never sent it out. So we know alcohol was in his system, but there is no legally admissible number. In a manslaughter trial, where the victim may have been impaired behind the wheel, with an open container in the car, with marijuana and cocaine also potentially in his system, that is not an oversight. That is the investigation failing at the most basic level, and the medical examiner is not finished. He still has to answer the most important question in this case.
So it's your testimony that only the serum ethanol was determined for Mr. Fernandez?
That's correct.
Okay. So is it also your testimony that the blood alcohol concentration of Mr. Fernandez was not determined?
Correct. It was present, but it was not, the absolute concentration for legal purposes was not determined.
What were your findings as to manner of death of Mr. Fernandez?
We found an accident.
You just heard it. The prosecution charged this as manslaughter. Their own medical examiner, the expert they called to support their case, told the jury the manner of death was an accident. At the close of the state's case, the defense asked Judge Boyd to throw out the charge entirely. She agreed. She told the jury to find Garza not guilty. After the trial, all 12 jurors said they would have acquitted him anyway. The detective called it an accident. The medical examiner called it an accident. The jury called it not guilty. A man lost his life, and his family deserves answers. But the answer was never a manslaughter charge held together by an investigation that missed the beer can, skipped the toxicology, and put a 20-year-old on trial based on evidence that contradicted the charge from day one. If there's a case or courtroom exchange you want me to break down, drop it in the comments below. Thanks for watching. And if this is the kind of breakdown you're here for, like and subscribe so we can keep building a more informed audience.